Coming up on this episode, I'll talk some actual hoops with the Warriors continuing their impressive form at Summer League with a win over the Phoenix Suns. Brandin, Podziemski and Trayce Jackson-Davis impressed, but it was another young forward who grabbed the attention, suggesting that the Warriors might need to keep their hands on him before a rival team comes knocking. Yes, welcome back to the Golden State with Mates podcast. Thought I'd just jump on here quickly after watching the Warriors record another victory at Summer League, their first in Las Vegas, a 90-73 victory over the Phoenix Suns. A really solid defensive performance again, keeping the Suns to 33% shooting from the floor and 18.8%, I think it was, from three-point range. Just wanted to mention, obviously, going through Summer League here, it's mostly we're looking at the individual performances and guys that either are on the Golden State roster or who could play a part in next season on the main squad. So we'll go through a few players here, starting obviously with the key duo that are on the Warrior roster, and that is Brandin Podziemski and Trayce Jackson-Davis. Pods is the one that I spoke about last episode. I really kind of want to watch in Summer League, obviously getting the primary point guard minutes, which could be a forecast of things to come if the Warriors don't add another pure point guard behind Steph, and Pods has kind of got that role. So it was really good to see him put in an impressive showing after a below par, you'd say, performance against the Sacramento Kings in the final game, the California Classic, where he scored, 15 points, went 4 of 13 from the floor, a couple of rebounds, 4 assists. Much more productive showing today against the Suns. Hit a number of triples in the first half, had 12 points, 4 rebounds. Ended the game with 16 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists in 26 minutes. The blowout victory allowed him and Jackson-Davis to sit the majority of the minutes in the fourth. I think it might have actually been all the minutes in the fourth quarter. So that was obviously a positive, but his first three quarters were very strong, and it was nice to see him kind of bounce back a little bit from the inefficient performance he had against the Kings the other day. Look, I like the aggression from him. He's obviously come out, set some pretty big goals and expectations upon himself going into his second year, and it's good to see him not shy away from that, going out there and trying to be aggressive, particularly hunting his shot in a way that, a lot of fans were disappointed in at points last season where, as I've spoken about before, he kind of gave up some open three-point looks and stuff like that. He went 3 or 4 from deep in the first half today, finished 3 or 6 overall. Just generally on his game, obviously, he's clearly not going to blow by guys off the dribble, and I think that's probably the one issue. However, he does still have a great ability to be able to get into the paint and then either make a scoring move from there or kick it out. And while he's not necessarily blowing by guys off the dribble, I do like his kind of, his footwork and particularly his change of pace as well. He kind of can get to the paint and then get into a kind of a Euro step move or something like that, where he really slows things up, change of pace, almost lets the defender fly by him, and then can kind of get a shot off. And that's kind of a guy that's not necessarily going to dribble past guys. It's uber athletic. That's what a guy like him has to rely upon, is that kind of crafty footwork and that change of pace. And I think he's done that well on a couple of occasions. He had one, I believe, in the first quarter where, again, it was kind of that change of pace, let the defender fly by and then get the layup kind of thing. So that was nice to see. Overall, a pretty strong performance from him. Trayce Jackson-Davis, clearly, as I said the other day on the last episode, not really a care factor for me in Summer League, simply because, particularly if you look at him offensively, he's not a guy. In fact, I would like to see in some of these Summer League games, I would like to see him kind of post up on occasion, but how many times do you just see that in the league anymore? Unless you are a genuine superstar player, you just don't get post-up opportunities. I think the Warriors should be running through him more, potentially with some split cut actions as well. He's a good passer, and I think he's got some post moves that suggest that he could finish around the basket pretty well and get into his own offense a little bit more, but it doesn't happen. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen really at the NBA level, and I don't think teammates are putting him in position to be able to do so at the Summer League level either. So clearly, offensively, he's going to be relying upon running the floor, pick and rolls, lob dunks, whatever it may be. And the fact is that he's probably going to get more of those looks at the main level in the NBA than he is in Summer League, because he really he relies on guys finding him and passing him the ball. And some of these guys in Summer League I think obviously the Warriors are doing a good job of playing like a team right now, but ultimately at the end of the day, this is a showcase of individual skills and players trying to earn a job in the league essentially. And so guys aren't necessarily going to be looking for TJD a whole lot on offense. I thought it was a strong performance today. Good enough, 10 points, 7 rebounds, couple of assists, 4 or 5 shooting. Had some slams, played well. But again, I don't really care too much because I don't think the numbers, like we can't expecting him to go out and have 20 point, 10 rebound, double doubles kind of thing. I just don't think he's going to get those looks on offense. He's going to put up bigger numbers scoring wise, I think, in the NBA where he can kind of play next to better passers, better playmakers, guys who draw more attention offensively. Obviously, Steph is the number one. Like how many dunks, layups, whatever else would have TJD got last year purely based off Steph's gravity, and that's just not there in some league, obviously. And so I don't really care too much about his box score numbers so long as he's protecting the rim at a reasonable rate. He hasn't had a block over these 2 games, which is slightly concerning, but at the end of the day, block shots aren't necessarily a complete telltale sign of a player's rim protection. And the fact, again, you look at Phoenix shooting 33% from the floor, that would suggest that TJD was part of a pretty good defensive effort overall from the team. Is he running the floor well in transition? I think he did that really well today. Got on the end of a couple of dunks. So again, I'm not really too concerned about what he does in Summer League. As I said on last episode, I'm pretty confident in what I'm going to get from TJD on the Warriors next season, and it's going to be similar, if not better numbers than what he's put up in the first 2 games in Summer League. Again, just because he's playing against better teammates, playing in a better offensive system with greater talent, playing in a better defensive system as well, which might actually impact like his shots block numbers and all that kind of stuff. So, not too concerned with TJD whatsoever. The one guy I did want to talk about, who I think the Warriors need to get their hands on before another team does, and that's Daeqwon Plowden. He was super impressive, and this is not just the first impressive performance from him in Summer League so far. He finished with 19, equal game high 19 points, team high 19 points as well, on 8 of 12 shooting, 3 of 4 from 3-point range. So didn't know too much about this guy obviously before Summer League, and kind of did my research. So he hasn't played an NBA game yet, but he spent time with the Pelicans and the Magic. He also spent last Summer League with the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you look at his G League stats last year, nothing that jumps off the page too much, like 10.9 points, 4.3 rebounds, 1.4 assists. But the efficiency is there, 46.8% from the floor, 39% from 3-point range. And you look at what he did today with his combination of good size, like 6'6" for a 2-guard / small forward. His athleticism really jumps off the page, and his shooting ability as well. That's a combination that's really got to be intriguing to a lot of NBA teams. It should be intriguing to the Warriors as well, particularly given, like, if you look at the Golden State roster right now, they still lack athleticism. They still lack size and athleticism on the wing. They've got Wiggs and JK as really the 2 guys that are high-level athletes. Aside from that, there's not a whole lot necessarily, and so they need some more of that. I think it's something Daeqwon Plowden could provide, particularly as well, given that there's a chance that either, or probably not both, but one of Andrew Wiggins or Jonathan Kuminga could be off the team by the start of next season. So, again, this was not the first impressive performance from Plowden in Summer League. If you go back to his performances, he had 26 points, 10 of 14, shooting 6 of 9 from 3 against the Heat. He had 14 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 1 of 3 from deep, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks versus the Lakers. And his one bad performance was against the Kings, where he had 10 points, 3 of 11 shooting, 1 of 7 from deep, 3 rebounds. But I think he needs a spot. I think he needs a spot. He definitely needs a spot in training camp for starters. That has to be a given. And secondly, I'm sorry to Pat Spencer, you haven't done anything wrong, but if you look at those 2 guys, Spencer, I think, has been injured, or if he hasn't been out there, so I'm assuming he's been injured over these past couple of games of Summer League. And you look at these 2 guys, and there's just upside. There's upside in Plowden. Like, first of all, I think Spencer's 27 now. There's a couple of years difference between him and Plowden. So Plowden's the younger prospect, albeit like he's got some experience behind him. Like, he went undrafted in 2022. been playing in the G League since. He's not a guy that you're throwing on a two-way contract thinking, yeah, we're going to have to wait a couple of years to develop this guy. A guy that, he's someone that could play for you. He's not going to play a lot next season, let's be honest, but like he could play sparing minutes, be an option for you, when you're down, particularly if you're down an athletic shooting guard, small forward, like a Kuminga, like a Wiggins, depending on what obviously happens with Moses Moody this offseason as well. He's another one who probably fits in that good size, good shooting kind of mould, similar to Plowden. He's one that could be traded, obviously, in the coming months. So I just think he's got upside compared to Spencer, and Spencer kind of fits more into the mould of those bunch of two guards like Buddy Hield, Lindy Waters the third. You could probably throw in Guy Santos into that kind of mix. Guy's got good size, not necessarily a great athlete necessarily. D'Anthony Melton. There's a bunch of those kind of two guards that you're looking at Pat Spencer and you think, where's this guy getting an opportunity? He's a two-way contracted guy for starters, and he's behind a bunch of guys who play a kind of similar role on the roster. Like, where's that opportunity lying? As Daeqwon Plowden, again, I'm not saying right now that if the Warriors throw him to a two-way contract that he's coming out and doing what Anthony Lamb did a couple of years ago and playing 20, 25 minutes a game and getting guaranteed onto the main roster by February or anything like that. I'm just saying it's a guy who, with his combination of good size, athleticism, and shooting, that's something the Warriors could do with him. That's something the Warriors lack, particularly athleticism-wise, behind Wiggins, Kuminga, and maybe Moody. That's a player the Warriors could use potentially at times next season. And he just looks at far above the Summer League level right now. He's really, really impressive. The athleticism jumps off the page. What I'm most impressed by is just the way he moves off the ball. Like, he spots up as a shooter, obviously. Again, in two of these games, he goes 3 of 4 today from deep. And then in the first game against the Heat, he went 6 of 9. Good shooter, again, 39% from three-point range in the G League last season. But also the way he works off the ball, he had a couple of nice kind of baseline cuts, and then he can throw it down. Like, he's super athletic. So he's kind of got a package that suggests that he has NBA potential. And I just look at the two-way contracts right now with Quentin Post, who's obviously guaranteed there, given the Warriors just drafted him 52nd overall. Reece Beekman, the Warriors have signed, as well as an intriguing backup point guard option. Obviously not going to play a whole lot, but again, I think he should probably stay on the roster given he's a pure point guard, of which the Warriors lack behind Steph. Again, that's not saying Beekman's going to be the backup point guard, but at least it's kind of a third, maybe fourth string option. And then Spencer, I just don't think they need him. I don't see the opportunity for him, and I think this is an opportunity to give Plowden that role as the kind of third two-way contracted guy over Spencer. Again, Pat's done nothing wrong. He's been in the kind of Golden State system for a while now. He ended last season on a two-way contract. He's been playing with Santa Cruz for a while, so I get it, but I don't know, you just got to make the harsh decisions at this point, and if you don't sign or don't find a way to utilise Daeqwon Plowden, I can guarantee you that another team will. And, Mike Dunleavy was on the broadcast today and was being asked about it, and, he said, this is a guy we really like, and, I think the broadcaster or something was saying, oh, your phone's going to go off the hook with conversations about Daeqwon Plowden, and I think he's a guy that Warriors are going to need to try and keep a hold of. Otherwise, again, another team will come calling, and he's an unrestricted free agent, so they can just nab him. There's no need to give anything to the Warriors or do anything like that. But obviously, Golden State have some kind of inside running, given he's playing with their Summer League team right now, and I think it's a move they need to make. Simple as that. A move they need to make and say, yep, first of all, you come to training camp and probably, if not already, give him a two-way spot over Pat Spencer. Obviously, the Warriors right now, 14 roster spots on the main roster, and doesn't look like they're going to change that by any means. They don't even really have the financial capacity to add a 15th right now. Obviously, that could change with any kind of trade moves or whatever else they make over the offseason here. Obviously, if they wanted to put Plowden on the main roster, I suppose they could waive Guy Santos' non-guaranteed contract for next season. They could do that. Or Lindy Waters the third. that's not worth it. I just think you'd keep the 14 you've got and then just replace Plowden with Spencer. Again, unfortunate to Pat, but it's the way it is, and I think it's something the Warriors need to do. Other than that, I'll finish it up there. I've got an episode coming up with a fan-sided colleague of mine, Josh Cornelison. We're going to talk more about the Markkanen dealings at the moment. He's got a bit of an alternative opinion, I'd say, on Lauri Markkanen, but he's very well calculated in his kind of decision-making and his thoughts. So I'm looking forward to having him on the podcast. That should be out in the next 24, 48 hours or so be on the lookout for that. Other than that, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, that would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at POK252, that's POK252 on X/Twitter, and I'll see you next time on that episode with Josh. Cheers, guys.